honeysuckle soup on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Capital Region today. I'm so happy that you're joining us today. We have a great lineup. It's a packed show. We're going to be talking about Spina Bifida. We're going to talk about Schenectady Civic Players. We'll be talking about the Chinese Community Center's big anniversary coming up. Albany Civic Players, Requiem, and Art in Bloom. What a great lineup we have coming up. And I went kind of fast, but thanks, Raymond, for keeping up with me anyway. We're going to start right out with our first guests. And our first guests are from Spina Bifida Association of Albany. And they are doing a walk and roll. So let's find out. We have the executive director, Julia Duff, with us. And you're going to tell us a little bit about this. And you brought two of the co-chairs with you.
Yes,
thank you for coming, Heather and Michelle.
Thank you for having us, Anne. We always love coming and seeing you. We are here to promote our 13th annual walk and roll for Spina Bifida.
13 years.
13 years, yeah. And we're celebrating our 30 years of service. So we've made it like a huge birthday party, celebration of the Spina Bifida community this year, all in one at Central Park in Schenectady on May 21st.
Okay, well, what is Spina Bifida?
Spina Bifida is a birth defect, and it occurs in the first month of pregnancy when the spinal column doesn't form or close properly. So essentially, part of the spinal cord is outside of the baby when they're born. So there's a lot of different ways to put the spine back in where it needs to be and cover it up. But there is some secondary damage that is associated, and there can be challenges with mobility, with different internal disorders, secondary conditions like hydrocephalus and latex allergy. But what we know is that with information, support, and resources, people with Spina Bifida can thrive.
Exactly, they can do everything.
Exactly.
Actually, even if they have to have a little, changes in their vehicles if they drive, yeah.
Yeah, just some modifications to what people consider to be the typical. If we have an open mind and a little creativity, it's accessible for all, and it reduces all the barriers to thriving.
And that's the important thing, is to reduce barriers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Yep.
So you brought with us two of our of the co-chair, and we have Heather and Michelle. Heather, you've been on the show before. Michelle, have you been on before? I
have not.
You have not, so you're a newbie here.
I am.
Okay, so what does it take as co-chair to put this together?
Well, there's a lot of planning and teamwork. We have a great team that has worked really hard for the past several months putting together this event. It's a great time. We have a lot of different components and different events or different aspects going on during the day.
And so you get sponsors, of course,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Now you have two events. Actually, this one that we're talking about today is the one at Central Park on the 21st. Is that correct?
Yep.
Correct. But since we've become a statewide organization officially as of last year,
Yay!
we are also doing a walk and roll in Long Island. One of our board members, who is part of our team that plans this event, he hosts an exact replica of the event, but in Long Island, so we can connect with families downstate who are impacted by Spina Bifida.
Yeah. And is it prevalent? I mean, is this like what you would call an orphan thing, or is this more prevalent? Because it has to do with folic acid, of course.
Yeah, so what we know is that folic acid, which is a B vitamin, helps reduce incidences of neural tube defects.
In the first 3 months of pregnancy.
Yeah, Spina Bifida occurs in those first 28 days, so you have to be taking a supplement 3 months in advance. It's still, folic acid is not a guarantee.
I know.
That you will not have Spina Bifida. What we like to tell people is that take a regular women's multivitamin once you're a teenager or childbearing age, because all of those multivitamins, oh my gosh, multivitamins will have the will have the appropriate amount of folic acid to help prevent
I think it's
neural
400
tube defects.
international units, yeah.
400, exactly.
Yeah. And even 800 would be okay to take. So,
Sure,
yeah.
I don't know that there's too much.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess anything you could take, too much of anything, right?
Yeah.
Even soft drinks, right?
Yeah,
So,
moderation.
Michelle, how long have you been involved in the planning of this? I mean, have you done previous events? Okay.
Yes, I believe this is my 4th year being co-chair, but I was on the committee beforehand.
Okay.
And I've been a part of the organization since 2013. So.
Yeah, it's been around. I did not realize that it was 30 years. Yeah. That's because when our family got involved, it was, you had already been established. Yeah. And you work with Sch'dy as well?
Yeah, we do. We partner with a lot of different local nonprofits that provide supports and services to those impacted by spina bifida, and Sch'dy is one of them. Because physical activity in sports is huge for people with spina bifida. Ways to participate in inclusive activities, ways to, move your body in a way that works for you and have that social camaraderie is really important, and that's what Sch'dy does.
Yeah, it's really nice. So tell us a little bit more about the
It keeps us moving too.
Absolutely. Well, we should all be moving, right?
Exactly.
All of us. When we talk about the event at Central Park, which is on the 21st, what time does that start?
So we open day of registration at around 9.
9.
And then our event kicks off at 10.
Okay.
Shelley and Heather do a little bit of talking, and then we'll do some Zumba. We have our sponsors, vendors, raffles, 50-50. We're bringing in...
Is this open to everybody?
It is free and open to the public.
Okay.
And all abilities.
Yep,
And all abilities.
exactly.
So this is something we should all get out and support, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll have food trucks, we'll have ice cream, we have Disney princesses, we have different kids activities, adult activities. Again, we're just throwing like the biggest 30th birthday party ever.
Well, good. And I hope that everybody does support you. It's certainly, it requires and demands people to see what's happening and how to support that. Mm-hmm. And especially like the Sch'dy program where the people can get out there and do sled hockey and all kinds of sports, skiing and things. But I like what you do, and I appreciate from my heart, I do appreciate what you do. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much.
Ann.
Pleasure, and I hope that you have a great turnout and raise lots of money.
Oh, thank you so much.
Good.
It's going to be a great event and a great opportunity for people to connect.
Good. And I'll see you there then.
All right.
Yay.
Perfect. Awesome.
Good. Thank you all for being
Thank
here.
you.
We're going to switch over and we're going to be talking with the Schenectady Civic Players. And of course, they're doing a production called Dinner with Friends. Are these the friends?
Well, I hope they are now, certainly. I haven't detected any animosity or bloodshed.
Very much so.
This is Guy Vogel. He is the director of Dinner with Friends at the Schenectady Civic Players at their playhouse. He's brought Christopher. Christopher, you're playing Gabe in the play, is that it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and then we have Emily here, and she's playing in the play too. I forgot what character. Oh, you're
Karen.
You're Karen. That's right. What is this about?
Well, it's about 90 minutes.
Okay. Well, all right. Thank you all for.
Well said.
We're done. No.
The play tells the story of 4 people, currently about 42 years old. Their friendship dates back about a dozen years or so to when 2 of them who recently married introduced their best friends, who themselves then go on to get married. Back to present day, the 2 of them are throwing a little bit of a dinner party for all 4 of them, but unfortunately one of the characters has to miss the party, and in his absence, his wife surprises her hosts, with the news that he has asked for a divorce.
Ooh, ouch.
So the play deals with questions of how marriage is like in many ways. It contains friendship, and friendship is also quite similar to a marriage. And what happens when a marriage breaks up? How do the relationships change? How do they remain the same? And really, what do you get out of a relationship? Is a friendship what you give? Or conversely, maybe not necessarily nicely, really what you're in it for, what you get.
What you get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christopher,
Yes.
how do you like your part?
Oh, I love my part. It's great. It's
You've been
almost,
acting a long time?
well, ever since high school, and then took a short break for a while. But for the past 10 years or so, I've been doing community theater in the Albany area.
Fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. That's
Lot
why I
of
just
fun.
keep coming
Fun,
back. All these
yeah.
great opportunities. But
And Emily, same to you. How long have you been acting?
About the same since I was about 16, on and off.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And how do you like your part?
I love it.
One of these days somebody's going to say, I really hate my part.
I hate it. No, I love it. I love this character. She's
Well,
a lot of
sometimes
fun.
they'll say they don't like the character that they're playing. In other words, they love doing the part.
It's like an evil
but
character.
They think the person is kind of crappy.
Yeah, that's always the challenge. What do you find that is playable in whatever role you've been cast for? What do you find simpatico, and what is in conflict with maybe your own beliefs or sensibilities?
Yeah.
But really, I've always said that you don't play the part plays you.
That's right.
And I think what we have in our cast of four is just people who have disappeared into their roles, and it's a wonderful delight to watch them navigate through the questions and obstacles.
Exactly, because it's a 6 weeks experience usually that that you're
Right.
together. You have to learn each other's parts almost because you got to know what their last line was, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
you come in,
Cues,
right?
yeah.
And if they don't drop it, then you're there kind of figuring out, do I say their line for them or what do I do,
Yep.
right? Well, Emily, I know that you'll be switching with another cast member in a little while, but I do want to address your part. Are you the one that declares that,
No, I am not.
No.
I am in
Okay.
a successful marriage.
okay, your marriage is okay?
Yes.
In the play?
For now.
The two of them are husband and wife.
Oh, okay.
They're the
All right.
ones who introduce their best friends.
Okay, great. So the next gentleman that's coming on is going to be the one that,
Yes.
okay. Well, Emily, I want to thank you for being here because we're going to switch over so that we get our next guest on. I believe that's Ryan's coming over here too. You got a great team to work with then.
Oh, yeah, Civic had called me up a couple of months ago, asked me if I'd be interested in directing the show. The previous director had, for whatever reason, had to withdraw.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was
That was Al,
delighted
yeah,
to
I
return.
do know.
The last play I directed there was Proof in 2005.
That's a great play.
And boy, when I think 18 years is just, I'm old, Anne, I'm old. But it's great to be back.
Yeah, and Ryan is with us now. And Ryan, so you're the bad guy, huh?
When I first,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's a loaded question. When I first read the play, I said, yeah, Tom sucks. But when you get into the play and into like the nuances, it's actually, in my opinion, Tom is the hero because, no offense.
Interesting. None taken, my friend.
I think what the Tom and Beth story, part of the story is you have to be happy with your life and with
Absolutely,
your circumstances.
absolutely.
And if you're not happy, you should feel free.
Do something.
Exactly. And I think, Tom and Beth then decide, I'm not happy and I haven't been happy and I really don't see the point of hanging out. So I think.
And you're honest. You're an honest man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
So how long have you been acting?
About 17 years from freshman.
Oh my God,
freshman year
everybody.
in high school.
These are people that it's in their blood.
We're committed more with one.
Well, casting is always a challenge, but I think also casting is, for me, about 90% of the success of a show. You get the right people in the right roles and magic happens.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Skye, because I have been advocating for the Academy Awards to give an award to people who do the casting, because the right casting is what makes the film or makes the play.
Yep.
You put the wrong person in there and it's like even Casablanca, they didn't want Humphrey Bogart. I can't think of that movie without him.
That's right. I think
Yeah.
it was, the fourth or fifth
Yeah, I
choice at the
know,
time?
and he was so good. Yeah. So see, See how that works. Now, okay, so when is the play? So let's get down to nitty gritty here.
We are heading into our final dress and preview performance this weekend, the 12th, Friday the 12th, I
Yes.
think is
Yes.
when we open.
I'm going to be there on the 14th.
And
so.
it's right around the corner, so we're doing final tweaks and polishes, and I'm learning to, I'm taking the time to shut up now. The play is theirs. It's in their hands and in capable hands.
So how do you feel when you sit in the back of the theater and watch it?
It's great fun. It's just really delightful.
And you know what you produced. I mean, you were part of what they're doing.
Yeah, but as I told them, I think recently, I'm not. They're not here for me. I'm here for them.
Right.
So it's my job to find where they can best navigate through the play, discover things, and assist them. I'm their eyes and ears out in front, and hopefully I'm giving them good feedback and helpful, informative
Brian's
direction.
taking it.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely,
Doing
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Ryan and I have worked together a couple of times before.
Yep.
Christopher and I, and Emily and I never before. And so Ryan, who agreed to come back with me, I guess he just doesn't mind working with me.
That's a good thing.
And the feeling is mutual.
Do you see, as a director, do you see a growth during the rehearsals and everything? Do you see something, a spark that comes out of these characters as you progress?
Yeah, and it's usually when they are leaving their script behind.
They're
When
off
the
book,
lines
yeah.
have become incorporated and they take possession of the lines. And of course, lines are just expressions of thought, but quite often the lines mask a thought. So once the lines are automatic, then that's when things just really start to come alive, and it's wonderful to watch each and every time. I'm sure you know.
Yeah. When you, getting back to the performance, I just wanted to mention that, you direct the play. You direct the choreography of this as well, right? Is the movement through the
Yeah, there's some movement. We have a fairly complex set. The play takes part in
finally
five
get the sync?
different
Did
places.
you finally get the sync in?
There is a sync.
That's a whole story, right?
It's a major plot point.
Unlike so many plays that take part in a kitchen or a living room, we visit several different areas, and so it's a matter of blocking and sight lines and making sure that the audience can.
And that's what you do. You're kind of looking at all the time. You're kind of watching that.
Exactly. It's technical as well as artistic.
Yeah, I want to just say that because the director does a lot.
Yeah, a lot of hats. Yeah,
A lot.
Yep.
So we're going to give you a big shout out for Sky Vogel.
Well,
And
it's
and I
great
hope that
play.
you'll all enjoy. It's for 2 weekends. You'll find it at the Schenectady Civic Players. They're located in the Stockade. Great performance area, great stage, everything is good about it. Let me tell you, it's really a great place to be. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
too.
Thank you.
And thank you, and Brickley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to switch right over, and we're going to be talking about the Chinese Community Center. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Can you believe 50th anniversary? Oh my goodness. No, you haven't been there that long.
No, I'm too young for it. I mean, the center was founded in 1940. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before. So basically, I know you know a lot about Chinese Community Center, but I just say that if you have the idea that the 16, we have what's called 16 founding fathers, they came over to this area in 1950s and 1960s.
Okay.
So at that time, they came over for study. In the 1965, the immigration law changed, so they'd be able to maintain a permanent residence.
A permanent residence.
Start
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, they feel like when they get children, they want the environment so the children can learn the language and culture. So in 1973, they started a Chinese school.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
The Chinese school is amazing.
It is. And then in that year, and then the document, so the Chinese Center officially funded for 1973, and 50 years just go back. It's
I know,
amazing.
and you have such great, the Chinese New Year and the number of events that come, and even they even have open houses at your location. It's just off Wade Road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with our buildings in Lathan on the 11 Avis Drive, and you know what? It's such a story to get in that building. I'm not sure if you know that. It's 14 years of struggle for those.
I helped with the
people.
landscaping on that. I know.
Totally, 14 years struggle, and then they finally voting for a few projects, eventually getting to what we have today. We're just so lucky, as we like the new generations, we're just using the center for so many activities. I do tea there, and then we have 3 dance clubs, like the Tibetan dance club, or like the modern dance, or like Tai Chi fan dancing, calligraphy.
Amazing,
ping pong. There's
amazing.
So many things going on there. We're
And
like,
the
so
school, I
lucky.
want to mention, the school is not at your center. Your school, you
No.
take over an entire school.
So yeah, the small group started in 1973. The Chinese school now become over 300 students in Shaker Junior High School every Sunday. It's so extensive. The class offered to grade K, kindergarten to 10th grade for the language classes. I am a Chinese as second language teacher over there. So my class have children from 8 years old until the father's like 50, 80 years old.
Are you finding, to me, knowing 2 languages is so important. I don't care what 2 languages, but you should know at least 2 languages. Do you find that the kids growing up, they're going to an American school, and learning in America. But I have found when I have Chinese friends over and they have their little kids with them, they talk to me in English, talk to their parents in Chinese, and I'm standing there going, how do they do that?
Ask Europeans, they manage for 4 languages. No, so my kids does the same. I intentionally, me and my husband want it that way. So they have to have a switch in their head.
Exactly,
It's
and they
automatic
do.
response.
And they do.
Yeah, they couldn't think. If you think, it doesn't work, right? So they have to be, from their childhood, they get used to it. Mommy speaks one language and daddy speaks the other language, or something like that. So,
But it's
there's
good for them. It's good for
it
their
is good for
brains.
their brain. Yeah, usually they so get used to it to switch without intentionally do so.
Yeah, I noticed that because sometimes I would ask them a question and they would turn to their mother and ask and kind of clarify it in Chinese to her. And it's like, I'm going, how do you do that? They're like 3 years old and they're doing this.
Well, when you're over that age, when you're after 10 years old, you try to learn a language, not gonna be the same.
It isn't the same. And I have a great-grandchild who's learning Russian at 3 years old.
Yeah, okay, that's perfect.
Russian and English. It's like, are you kidding? Who does that?
Perfect age to do that.
I think it's wonderful. And I wish that I grew up with my parents speaking Italian.
Yeah.
And during that time, none of the kids were allowed to speak Italian because it was during World War II and it was the enemy of the language of the enemy, that whole political nonsense. And so we were not allowed to speak Italian. And I regret that I never learned Italian.
You can still learn now.
Well, it's harder
Do
to
the talk.
learn.
Yeah,
I learn a little, few words here, a few words there, but some of them can't be spoken in public. No, I'm only kidding.
Right.
So anyway, so let's talk about the event, which is on the 20th at Key Hall in Proctor, right here.
Theater, yes.
What are you doing for that?
So I would say this to me, it's like a planning a wedding.
Planning a wedding,
Yeah,
okay.
The hall is like a.
But we don't have to
wedding
bring
hall.
gifts, right?
Yeah, no, you're my guest. You're my guest. So it's part of with the guest list because we're trying our best to have the CCC founders and really senior members to come
Wonderful.
and join us because
Wonderful.
only 2 of them live locally. The rest live in.
They have moved
Marcus.
away,
Yes.
yeah, and I know that some do.
And then they're like 80s and 90s years
Yeah.
old. So we're trying really hard on that. And then also the legislatures join us. Actually, this time Congressman Paul and Colony
Paul loves you
Horwedel.
guys.
Yeah,
I know that.
he's
He's
so
at every one of your events.
He's so good. So those 2 gentlemen not only join us, but also going to be the event sponsors.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we're
Good.
really honored. And then for the organization leaders and media leaders like
Right.
yourself.
Yeah.
For the our general public, like we need the CCC current members or anyone who interested into the event. So we've been selling the ticket for a while, and it's all sold out now completely. No more seats. So.
Oh, you're sold out now?
The show is sold out. Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was fast.
Yes, because it's partially invitation, partially.
Yeah.
For the public. And then we have show at Chinese Community Center. We're good in doing shows, as you know. So we have a 10-program show on the day. Now that's a combination of CCC's own performance team. Now we have, as I mentioned, dance club, the Tibetan dance.
Do you have a chorus? You used to have a chorus. Do you still have the chorus?
I was going to mention that 2 choruses this
Okay,
time
go
I'm going to perform. One is the CCC chorus who've been on for over 40 years.
I know.
The other one
They've been
is
around a long time.
children's chorus. That party has
Oh,
that.
wonderful.
The little children, and I started training them as a backup team. You know that, So they not only to learn the vocal skills, but they also learn to sing Chinese poetry. So they're learning the cultural, by singing the poetry. So that's something I'm looking forward to see. And, the same as Kung Fu. But most importantly, this time I'm presenting Peking Opera Academy.
The Peking Opera, and she's wonderful. Is this the same one that was at the,
Yeah.
She's wonderful. Well, we've been showing those pictures, I think. Are those up there, the pictures with, there they are.
Yeah.
And that's her on the right-hand side down.
Yeah.
I think.
So, you must have known Peking Opera with the
Oh, yeah,
journey
yeah,
in
yeah.
China. Well, in this area, there's none, right? Basically, so Peking Opera is such a new to this area. It's like Italian opera, would you say the sense like that? Because the way of singing, you use
The German opera, everything
Yeah.
is, it got different characteristics
Yeah,
with that.
and then with the unique face paint, costume, and then they even have the fighting scene in there. If you see that, the monkey
You're not gonna do all this, are you, at the? Yeah,
We're
you're
going to
gonna do
have
the-
5 programs with Peking Opera, so they're like selection.
Oh,
You will see a
selection.
sample of each. They're really fun. I'm going to be one of the Peking Opera
Are you
performers.
really? Oh, do you
Yes.
sing?
Yes, but my role would remain as a surprise. You'll see it on that
Okay,
day.
I can't wait.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why you had a call out for makeup and stuff, right?
Yes.
I saw
Actually,
that and I thought, could I help? And then I'm thinking,
Well, because the makeup and the hat pieces is so complicated. 20 performers need 10 people to be the backup team
Yeah.
to do that. Supporting team, yes.
Yeah. I do want to say, I was at one of their open houses and her daughter, who is young, was phenomenal she sang and she
Thank
spoke, beautiful Chinese.
Oh, thank you. That's really tried hard because she, when she was little, so I learned from a German guy actually. He said, show your kids just let them watch the cartoons, like with the language you want them to learn.
Oh.
No local TV or no local sort of languages.
Right.
So she grown up watching Chinese cartoon all the time, and then her Chinese, she won the storytelling contest in Chinese school 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I have tried to learn, I learned some Chinese. Part of it is the inflection, and I think that's the hardest thing for me to know. For instance, ma. There's 4 mas. Each one is different, meaning, bad or mother or, whatever. Horse, I think. One is horse, isn't it? Ma?
Yes.
Yeah. See, who knew? So you don't want to call your mother a horse, right?
I also struggle with when I learn French with all the verbs have to change tone. So you always have to struggle somewhere.
Yeah, and at least the Chinese don't do the li, what is it, the la and d, in like Spanish, they have in German, the d and
the
der.
grammar is very simple, but the characters is complicated.
Yeah.
And the tones.
Yeah, well, I keep struggling to learn. Because
You're a
I think
great
it's
learner.
important to keep your brain kind of working on things that you just know nothing about. And believe me, and there's no giveaways, because I have been to China. There are no giveaways on the signs. You have no idea what those signs are.
Yeah.
And you can go to France and you can kind of figure out what the signs are. Or Italy, you can kind of figure out. China, forget it.
No. You have to learn the characters.
You have to learn the characters. Yeah. And they change because you got the traditional and then now you got the simplified.
But still, if you having one fun way to learning it, if you want to start it with the photographic way of learning it.
Yeah,
what
the
the sun look
simplified.
like, what the moon look like, what the mountain look like. That's a fun way of developing it. Yeah, right.
I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, you are. You're a great learner.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you at the event on the 20th.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having
and
me.
congratulations on your 50th anniversary.
Thanks, Anne.
Good. We're going to switch over to our next guest, which of course we always have some great guests coming up. This time we have the Albany Civic Players Theater. ACT, ACT. I love that. I love that acronym for that. So what do you got coming up? You got one that's coming up about a buffalo, or would that be a coin?
So, American Buffalo, we actually opened this past Friday, but we have 2 more weekends coming up.
Keep going.
It's a David Mamet play. It's a
Very famous playwright.
very famous playwright. It's a very famous play. They had a Broadway run last year
Yeah.
with Sam Rockwell and Lawrence Fishburne were in the cast. It's about these, the short version, it's about these 3 crooks that are planning a job.
So you're a crook?
Maybe.
Linda's the director, so she's not a crook.
They're all crooks. They're all crooks. No, not me.
No. So you're a crook, and it has to do with a buffalo nickel, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
my character Don owns this junk store, and before the play begins, we find out that this guy came in, was looking through all the stuff, and he found this rare coin that Don sold him, and then Don becomes paranoid that he got ripped off.
Once
So
he
then-
finds out, he sold something good, right?
So then he brings in his associate and friend named Teach, who's
And I get very excited about the notion
Yeah.
of not only getting his coin back, but taking everything that the person owns of any value, basically.
So this is character driven, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Linda, how's it working with these guys?
To tell the truth, I was invited into this project, and I have to say, I didn't have a lot of experience with Evan at all. We knew each other in passing. This one I knew. And then the third fellow who's in the show, Anthony Holloway, I didn't know him. And I've had just an incredible journey with these guys. We've just had a great time together. As difficult as this play is, this has probably been one of the smoothest operations I've worked on in a very long time. So I've greatly appreciated these guys.
You got good characters here. Well, I
They
know
were
that
the best.
both of you have acted before, and
Yeah.
you're a director too. I mean, you've done directing as
Yep.
well. I think you've done directing too. You did the
Started
scene,
doing
be seen
a staged
too.
reading of Zeus story last year, and I co-directed How I Learned to Drive with Evan. And I've got The Father coming up at
Yeah.
Schenectady Civic.
Which one?
The Father.
Oh, you're doing that. That's next season.
Next
That's
season.
going to be a terrific play.
Linda's a great director.
Yeah. And Evan, aren't you
Fantastic.
directing something at Civic Players too?
Yeah, we announced our next season, and I'm going to be directing Sam Shepard's Buried Child in
Okay.
September. Auditions are actually this coming Monday and Tuesday,
Okay.
if anyone's watching and wants
Yeah.
to audition. So yes.
Yeah. So you're seasoned. Have you directed before, Linda?
So it's a wee pup. I started out, actually, I did a
Were
lot of...
you gentle with her?
Oh, please, no.
You don't need
no
to be.
pity.
We don't need to be gentle.
No, I started out young directing. I really started as an acting major when I went to school, and part of our assignment was to take on a directing class, and I was like, ugh. But as soon as I started directing in college, I was like bitten, and I said, this is really where my passion and my heart is. So I've been doing it probably longer than this one's been alive, and certainly about the same time as this one's been alive.
We're about the same age.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah. So the play. So you chose the play.
No, Evan, really, this is a passion play for Evan, and he and David had already
Oh,
been
you
together.
already decided
Right.
that was going to be a good play.
So American Buffalo
Yeah.
was going to be Albany Civic's first playback after the COVID shutdowns. But, so we had a cast, we had.
You were all set to
Myself,
go.
David, and Anthony. I never worked with Linda, but David highly recommended her, and anyone who's worked with her has also highly recommended her. So I said, sure, absolutely, let's bring her in. But then when we went to apply for the rights, the pending Broadway run locked everything up. So they said, you don't get them right now. We have to wait till after. So then we shifted along and we put it at the end of the current season that we're in. So we had this team together.
You were ready to go.
we were ready to get started. We had a read through way back in 2021. And then when, we just kind of had to put it on pause. So, I know David and I were certainly antsy to get going. And we did a whole nother production of How I Learned to Drive in between.
Right.
And that also took a lot out of us. So, and I've loved this play since I first read it. I say it's the play that got me into plays.
It got you into it, yeah. Well, it's interesting that I was not aware, and I'm involved with Schenectady Civic. I was not aware that during the pandemic, when things were canceled out, I figured we'd just pick up where we were. But then I found out you don't keep those rights. I was like, are you kidding? And they go, no, if they're going to be performed somewhere, you can't. I did not know that. And here I was thinking, well, we just pick up and go. But that isn't true.
Yeah, it's so there's two major companies that do play rights, Concord Theatricals and Dramatist Play Service. And they're generally pretty good. They were pretty good during the COVID situation of saying, all right, we have to suspend this or we'll try to move these dates.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of a process that you have to go through. You can't just do it whenever you want.
I had no idea. Yeah. I mean, it was like, unless you're doing it, you don't know. And so I was. Right. It was kind of like a surprise to me.
It's very hard to just pick up. I mean, and also people's lives change. So people, there's a lot of moving pieces to a production. You can't just necessarily move it from one time slot to another.
I know. I realized that it had to do with cast, but I did not know that there was something behind that that caused that. Okay, so you're located on 2nd Avenue in Albany.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And you have a great theater, nice black box theater and everything. Right. It's really great.
And our set is incredible. It's incredible.
Okay.
This play takes place in a junk store.
We have the pictures. I think they've been bringing those pictures up. Let's see. I think he's working his way through them.
We got some production photos that were taken by Adam Wilson Wong, who's a great photographer for anyone who needs pictures taken. But our set is really incredible.
Good.
Our set designer, Kat, really did a great job. The set is its own character. And everything on the set we pretty much had at the theater upstairs in storage.
It's junk.
And we just said, let's just get all the junk down here, put it on stage.
But it's beautifully organized junk.
Okay.
So, one of our audience members said, you look at this space and we've seen people come in before the show and start photographing it because they've never seen anything quite like this. But it's the way in which these three guys maneuver within that space, and it never looks like it's staged. They have such an incredible way
I'm so looking forward to
moving through that space, and they make it their own every single night.
Yeah.
And I go on a rampage and wreck the junk store. And then they've designed it in such a way that I do wreck it. And they're able to put it back together. 5 minutes, people talking in the lobby.
You're a bad boy. I didn't know you were a bad boy.
Keach is a terrible person.
Yeah.
He's a terrible person.
So that's something that that I think we should talk about. This play, it's definitely rated R for language, but it's really funny.
It is.
Especially our opening night audience this past Friday, they were laughing the whole time. It's it's dark and it's kind of like watching.
I love black comedies.
It's kind of like watching.
Bring it on.
like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
These are bad people, but they're hilarious.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this play is. So be prepared for that if you come to see it.
So
But on the end of that, though, as funny as this play is, when it takes a turn, which it does, it's shocking to the audience because they're not prepared. Even people who knew the play going in were unprepared for the way the play turns.
Spoiler alert.
Be prepared.
Spoiler alert. There's going to be a real twist on this.
The play's 50 years old. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I want to thank you all. And I know that we need to say that it's being played through the 21st over at the Albany. And it's easy. It's street parking, but it's a great area to park and no issues at all. Yeah. So we hope, I have to say break a leg, and I hope that I know you're already performing, so it's, nobody's had a problem. Right.
It's been great so far. It's been really, the response has been great too.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Pleasure to be here.
We'll see you again. And then now we're going to switch over to another performance that is going to be a new what is it? Coming back again and doing it over again.
Yes, it's the memorial tour
Okay,
of my Requiem,
yes.
which is a 75-minute choral work, and it premiered at St. Luke's Roman Catholic Church in November. And
they loved it.
Yes, it was a triumph, and I've been so honored by the number of people who've come to me and said, I'd love to hear it again. And
There you go.
So I felt.
Who says that? You know,
I
when
know.
they do, you say yes.
Oh, I'm honored to say yes. And
Yes.
so we're going to be performing at 3 separate churches.
3 times.
3 separate churches in the Capital District
Okay.
over 3 days of the Memorial Day weekend. And I'm aware that a holiday weekend is always risky for scheduling performances, but in this case, the subject matter of Requiem is so perfect for Memorial
What
Day
remains
weekend.
of love, right?
What remains is love.
Is love, I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's
Yeah.
nice to be here, Anne. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also want to give a big shout out because you had done the Hearts of Fire, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, I'm a composer lyricist, and the thrust of my work is really with musical theater. So I'm sure there are many of your viewers who will remember
In
Hearts of
Proctor, it
Fire.
was performed at, yeah.
Twice at Proctor's. The subject matter of that is similar to what I'm drawn to in the Requiem. My work as a composer is largely inspired by the concept of loss and how we face it and what redemption there lies within it. In terms of Hearts of Fire, I wrote about the events leading to the 1690 Schenectady Massacre. And afterwards, and what came alive for me in that story, about which I knew nothing, virtually nothing of the massacre when I was approached by the city of Schenectady to write it.
So you had to do a little reading.
Did I ever? And I'm not a historian, and I thought, oh dear, what am I going to do? But I was in the Schenectady Library seeking some kind of written matter about the event of the massacre. And there on the wall, there's a mural that depicts Alexander Glen with the settlers who remained after the massacre, the survivors, imploring him to call them as his relatives because the French and Indians had declared anyone related to Alexander Glen would be let free.
The Glenn Sanders Band?
Exactly. And when I saw that, Anne, suddenly there's this moment when you realize these are not historic figures long gone. These were people who were here before us.
Yeah.
So by seeing the mural, I got the idea, and it was the honor of my life. I consider Hearts of Fire my major work.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, really.
And but again, it would have been just an anecdote, a sorry anecdote in our nation's history if the city had been destroyed and nothing happened. The redemption was, the survivors said, we will rebuild.
Well, yeah, we're going to rebuild, yeah. So we talk about the Requiem, which is the one you're doing now. Is this in English?
Oh, yes.
It's in,
Well, a Requiem, what it is a Requiem.
I always think of it as Latin or,
It is.
you know.
Well, the origins of a Requiem Mass, it's a Mass for the dead. And I believe it's been around for centuries. And the beginnings, the origins would be a bereaved family member would go to the local church musician and say, my father has died, I want to pay you to compose a Mass for him.
Oh, really? I did not know that. Oh.
Well, I'm hoping
I learn
I'm
something
true.
all the time
I'm
on this
hoping I've
show.
got the facts right. I think I do. But as the centuries progressed, the great composers began to see this as an opportunity to expand the work. And so in the 18th and 19th centuries, some of the greatest musical works of art are requiems. Mozart's Requiem, Verdi's Requiem, the Brahms Requiem, which was recently performed.
Actually, they just did that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. So my Requiem melds. I've taken some of the parts of the traditional Catholic Mass, the Requiem Mass, and set them to my own music. But I've interwoven them with my own songs about life, death, and where I think we might be going from here.
Okay, what is the definition of a Requiem?
Requiem, a Mass for the Dead.
It's a Mass?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
I don't know.
I don't know if I know,
Yeah.
but really, I'm a composer, but my inspiration for this is, I'm also the music director at St. Luke's Roman Catholic
I know,
Church in
yeah.
Schenectady. And from my vantage point, high above the worshipers in the pews below, I've provided music for the salient
You're an
moments of
organist
life.
as well, right?
I am. Well, yes, I am.
Yes.
Your cameraman might question that.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
I
a
know.
pianist who fakes it at the organ.
Yeah.
But I also sing. And I've played for the beautiful moments, the births, the weddings, the Christmas Eves. But I've also been called to provide the music for the moments, the darkest moments of our lives.
Yeah.
And from my vantage point, I have witnessed how faith is questioned. But I've been so astonished to see its strength. And I felt that I had the tools to honor that, because as humans, we're finite. We're born, but the day we're born, there's a date on that calendar that marks our death.
Fortunately, we don't know
We
what
don't know
it
what
is.
it is, but our lives will end. But what I believe is our love does not. And I believe there's
It's what we leave behind us.
That's what we
And you're going to be leaving some requiems, that's for sure. The requiem and many other
I
things.
have to tell you, I'm so proud of it, and I want to tell it quickly. I've got 24 glorious voices to sing it.
Oh, wonderful.
I've been so blessed with the talent who contributed to this, because there's no way I could do it alone.
No.
So I have that going on, and it's 3 performances.
Okay, let's talk about where they are and what day they are. I know they're on the Memorial Day weekend, but they're not on a Monday, so Memorial Day is on Monday.
No,
so
not doing
you're-
that.
yeah.
So the first up is Friday night, so it's going from east to west. First up is St. Paul's Episcopalian Church on Hackett Boulevard in Albany.
Okay.
That's on Friday, the 26th at 7 p.m.
Okay,
Then the next night, we come to Schenectady.
okay.
First Reformed Church, right in the stockade.
Perfect
Beautiful.
place.
I'm so excited to be there.
That is a perfect venue.
I've always wanted to play there, and also being in the stockade, I just feel thrilled to be there. So that's Saturday, the 27th at 7 p.m. And then the final stop is an afternoon performance in Amsterdam, my hometown, at the Trinity Lutheran Church on Guy Park Avenue. That's
Okay,
at 3 p.m.
is there, well, first of all, is there a charge?
No, there's a free will offering, gratefully accepted, but there's nothing required. No.
Okay. Is there a minimum attendance? I mean, is there, like, we could only hold so many people, a maximum attend, I'd say
Oh
minimum,
my
I
goodness,
meant
Ann, I
maximum.
haven't even thought of that.
But
I'm-
churches are pretty good.
They're large. I'm not expecting standing room only, but that would be fantastic if that
Would be great.
happens. But I'd love anyone who's looking for a moment to reflect on this weekend of our national remembrance. I think it's the perfect event.
It is, it's perfect. It's a perfect tie-in to Memorial Day week. It's perfect. I do hope that you get a nice turnout.
Thank you.
And I must say, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Ditto.
Yeah, it really is, because I've heard about you, and it's like you've always been kind of out there, some
Out there indeed.
an amorphous person that did this
thank
wonderful
you.
Hearts of Fire. And have you heard about Maria?
Really, it's
Yes.
so stunning to hear that, because I'm basically going to go home and make a cup of tea and think, gee, I hope I did okay.
You're doing perfect.
thank you so
believe
much
me.
for having
But
me.
I do want to say that I've heard about you over the years.
Thank you.
People have told me, haven't you seen Hearts of Fire? And maybe they're going to, I think you did it twice at Proctor.
We did it twice at Proctor's.
That's what see?
Yes,
See,
twice.
I knew.
It was twice
Yeah.
at Proctor's.
Yeah, maybe
Your
you'll do it
cameraman
again.
was in the pit with me. I had 2 keyboards, and myself playing the piano, and Malcolm Kogut was one of the.
Malcolm Kogut, who is that guy?
He's a
Hi,
wonderful
Malcolm.
player, but he will tell you, he played so faithfully beside me.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, but I not forgot.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Maria, for being here, and I
Thank
hope
you,
that you have
Ann.
a successful, and I will try to attend
Thank
one
you.
of those.
Very affirming.
If
I
I
loved
can
talking
fit it
to
in,
you.
I will be there.
Thank you. I hope to see you. Thank you so
We're going to
much.
switch over to one of my favorite people. Hi, Betsy.
I am.
Good to see Betsy Sandberg. She is one of my favorite people. I go to her for everything when I have a problem. So anyway, and you brought an artist with you, and we're talking about art in bloom.
Yes, Art in Bloom. What happened was every year at Kids Arts Festival, the big question is, why is it only one time a year? Why is it only the first Saturday in June? And I've been searching for ways to extend it, and then it happened that the New York State Arts Council offered these specific grants that featured.
Gotta look for them and see if you can fit in.
Well, and it had to feature collaboration, and then it struck me. what happens in Schenectady?
We collaborate.
The same footprint as Kids Arts Festival outside City Hall and along the J Street pedestrian walkway every Sunday. So I don't have to worry about a permit. I don't have to worry about the insurance. I don't have to worry about setting everything all up.
They're in there.
I just collaborated with the Greenmarket. So we are bringing one specific art activity for 20 weeks.
I can't believe you got 20 of them.
Oh, starting May 21st. And Ubu, I want to introduce you to Ubu. She's so exciting, and she's going to be doing
I know, I
the
talked
first
to her a
one.
little bit before the show. She said,
So
you're a
take it
graphic
away,
artist.
Ubu.
Did you say graphic?
Abstract.
Abstract. What else? Say graphic. Abstract art. So what are you going to do for your I guess your
Art in Bloom
main performance or whatever you want to call it?
Well, we're gonna on the 21st. We're gonna be splatting paint as the background on the photo booth boards, and then on June 3rd we're gonna be painting and drawing on the flowers and the grass and the bees, coloring those in as well. Exciting.
This is exciting. Is this the first time you've done something like this?
For an event, yes, it is. It's I would say I'm excited. I'm excited to see the joy that it's gonna bring the kids to just be free and splat the paint everywhere and just don't have any thinking of it. You know, just do step outside of their box.
Okay, now you said kids. Okay, and you said kids. But Art in Bloom seems to me more than just kids because I see myself as being fascinated by what's going on.
Yes, and that is, for the Art in Bloom, the majority of the people who attend the Greenmarket are adults.
Right.
And so...
But there's kids there too.
There are kids, but we have tried to, and it's only one activity. We're not bringing the whole festival.
No,
We're not,
only one.
And Ubu, if she could just talk a little bit more about, because she went through so many different designs.
I did.
And the idea of this two-step process, which I didn't think was going to happen, but when she presented it to me, I said, of course, we've got to do it this way.
Yes, so as an abstract artist, I initially had like all these ideas for texture and bring materials in to add onto it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was very out there. And then Macaulay, who works at the Electricity Barn, she told me, you know, just to reel it in a little bit, got to keep it a little simple for the kids, you know. So I had to get out of that abstract mindset, and it took me about a week or so to get out of it, and I finally focused on what I wanted to do. So I came up with one design, and then I was like, it's missing that excitement.
That's the creativity, is when you start processing.
Yes, and I was just sitting there looking at my design on my iPad, my trusty pad, and I was like, hey, Macaulay, what did you think about splat paint? And she was like, go for it. And that was like all I needed to be like, this is what I'm going to do.
Okay, good.
So I kept the flowers abstract because, you know, I'm an abstract painter, so I kept it abstract still, but not to the extreme, you know. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see, and even adults, if they want to come and splat paint, please feel free.
Why not? Because I mean, and what do they say about your brain? You should always be doing something that's a little bit different, something that you haven't done. I know I've talked to people and they say, well, I do a crossword puzzle every day. I said, that's not the same as retooling your brain to do abstract art or to do something else. So this is really good for adults, I think, as well, because it kind of gets them thinking in a different pattern. The fact that you're there from, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., that's 4 hours that you're going to be there. Yeah. So you're going to have a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
And people will be coming in and out probably,
Yes.
you know, and so you will be exposing a lot of people to this as well. Are you helping out at the Kids Art Festival?
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're going to talk about that on another show, I think. But I just wanted to make sure that, you know, you are extending your talents to many
absolutely.
venues.
I would love to. I mean, I feel like, you know, this is my third time moving here to Schenectady, and I feel a calling to be here to express my creativity.
We're happy to have you here.
Absolutely, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So Betsy, you've got everybody lined up. So who else? What do you have?
So after May 21st, then we are going to have what's called Communa Loom.
Okay.
So like community loom.
Gotcha.
People will be weaving with textile artist Sarah Boink.
Okay.
Sarah Boink, she has a place at the Brower House in maybe
Yeah, I know it's
at
Brower
the
House, yeah.
Schenectady County
Yeah,
History
yeah.
on Washington Avenue. And then on June 4th, we will have Joshua Nelson, who is a Schenectady native, now a very talented saxophonist. And the very first instrument he learned to play on was a recorder. So we will have recorders, and again, for adults, I I did these for the kids.
Yeah.
The
one, I don't
the
care.
finger knitting.
Look at this is finger knitting?
This is finger knitting.
I did not know what finger knitting was.
And so there's all different types of colors, and Sarah's.
They do this with their fingers?
Yes, yeah. I did it with my fingers. Yeah, yeah. So, but there will also be for adults. Yeah, okay. I'll come on another.
Here saying, you
I'll-
do this really?
I will
You
come
and I,
on
right?
another show and show finger knitting. So, yeah, but they don't have to worry about finger knitting at Art in Bloom. They will weave that with the help of Sarah Boink, the textile artist. There will be other things too that she'll work in.
Finger knitting.
And then on
Still
June,
sitting there going,
all right. And June 4th will be Joshua Nelson, the talented saxophonist who his very first instrument was a recorder.
Okay.
So we will have recorders.
Are you going to sell them?
No. We got a grant from the New York State Arts Council. So single activity is free. The artist stipends, we do not exploit artists for their passions. They will be paid for their time, and the materials will be paid. Right, we got a grant. And then, because I can't remember more than 3 things, I had to print out all the others. We will have poetry on June 11th. Pendulum art with Create Community Studios on June 18th. Hand mandalas and Zentangles. Keisha Renee Stovall is the artist leading that effort on June 25th. How long do I still have? I'll keep going. July 9th, the Hamilton Hill Art Center. The muralists Maya Lewis and Bianca DeLella will be at a table explaining. They will be starting a mural on the Erie Boulevard Railroad wall. It probably
we've
will
been
have.
talking about that.
Yes, it will probably have already been started. And so they'll be talking about murals, or maybe they'll be directing people that are there to help paint. Catapult painting, again, Create Community Studios. Talk about splatting. I know. They're creating this very large canvas, and they're having a lot of fun checking this out. How with the splat. So the idea is these catapults.
This is exciting.
I know, and adults. I mean, again, everything that adults are going to love to do. How much longer do I have?
Well, I got to ramp up.
Okay, that's what I thought. But until October 8th, it will go every Sunday, October 8th, except for July 2nd, because it's the 4th of July week.
Yeah, holiday weekend. Okay, I want to tell you what's coming up next show we have coming up. The Callaloo Theater, they're doing a great production. We have the International Center of the Capital Region, or Capital District, I'm sorry. Jazz on Jay is here, Kids Art Festival, Opera Saratoga. We have some great lineup coming up. Please watch our next show and watch this one over and over and over. There's so much great information, you'll never get it on the first round. I'm Ann Perillo, your host and producer of Capital Region Today. Thank you for watching. Happy Mother's Day!
Claire.
All righty.